Hey guys, welcome to the 43rd C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at some preprocessor directives. And preprocessor directives are dealt with before your code is compiled, or before it's converted into ones and zeros. And we're going to be looking into what this means a little bit later on. And all preprocessor directives start with a pound character, so that means that this include right here is a preprocessor directive. And basically what this include is going to do is it's going to go into this file called stdio.h and copy all of its contents and paste them right here. Then it's going to go into stdlib.h, copy all of its contents and paste them right here. Then it's going to go into myfile.h, which is this file right here, so it's going to go ahead and copy this code and paste it right here. So before it even gets to do any of this code inside of main right here, it has to go through and copy and paste all the contents of these files right here. Alright, so you're probably wondering what the difference is between having these angle brackets and having these quotes. Well, in short, the angle brackets are for files that come with the standard library or that come with C, and the ones for the quotes are for any files that you create or files that you download. But there's a little bit more to it than that. So anything that you include in these angle brackets, it basically goes to the location where all the standard library files are and goes through each one of them until it finds the one that you requested. So it goes through every single file in the standard library directory until it finds stdio.h. When it finds it, it goes in there, copies all of its contents, and just pastes them right here. Same thing with this, only it's going for stdlib.h. Now this one is included inside of the quotes. So what that means is it's going to go into the directory where main.c is located, go through every single one of those files until it finds myfile.h. If it doesn't find myfile.h inside of that directory, then it's going to go to the location where all the standard library files are stored and look through all those. So if you really wanted to, you could include these inside of quotes. However, it's just good practice to use the angle brackets for the standard library files. Alright, so that's pretty much all there is to the include preprocessor directive. Now we're going to be looking at the define preprocessor directive. So the first thing that you need to do, like with all preprocessor directives, is just write out the pound key, and then right after that just type out define. Then you need to give it a name. I'm going to go ahead and just call it my_name. And whenever you're naming one of these, make sure that you make it in all caps so that when someone's reading your code, they know that this isn't a variable when you're referencing it. And then to give this a value, all you're going to want to do is type space and then just whatever value you want to give it. I'm just going to give it the value of quote Atom end quote. Alright, so now what we can do down here is write out printf, and then inside of here we can just type my_name semicolon and run this, and we should get out Atom onto the screen. Yep, perfect. So what it did is it went through, and every place that it saw my_name, it physically replaced it with quote Atom quote. So before this code is compiled, before this code is even looked at, it goes through here and replaces every instance of my_name with quote Atom quote. So every place that it sees my_name, it replaces it with whatever is over here. So if we really wanted to, we could change this to an actual line of code. We could change this to printf Atom end line like that, and then we could just do my_name, and now every place that it sees my_name, it's going to replace it with this line of code right here. So now when we run this, we should still get out onto the screen Atom. Yep, and if we wanted to, we could go ahead and copy and paste this a bunch of times so we get Atom out onto the screen 4 times. Yep, and you don't need to have a semicolon right here because in this line of code there already is a semicolon. As you can see, there's a semicolon right there. So it goes through and physically replaces this with this line of code. So it goes through, replaces this with printf Atom, replaces this with printf Atom, replaces this with printf Atom, and replaces this with printf Atom. So you see, if we were to add a semicolon right there, there would actually be 2, which we don't want. So if you have a semicolon in your code up here, then you don't need to have a semicolon in your code down here. And one last thing that I want to show you with the define is creating macros. And macros are very similar to functions. So let's just say that we wanted to create a macro that will simply double any value that is passed in as a parameter. So we're just going to go ahead and call it double, and anytime that you're creating a macro, you're going to want to make it in all caps so that when someone's reading your code, they don't think it's just a regular function. And then following that, you're going to want to put 2 parentheses, and inside of these parentheses is where you're going to want to put all of your parameters. And unlike functions, you don't need to provide a type for the parameter. So I'm just going to go ahead and put x right there because our macro is only going to take 1 parameter, and like I said, we don't need to put a type. And then following that, just put a space and then put 2 parentheses. And inside of these 2 parentheses is where you're going to want to put all of your code for your macro. Now, like I said, all that this macro is going to do is just double the value of x. So we're just going to say in here x times 2. So now what we're going to do down here is just say printf %i, since we're going to be printing out an integer, and then we can just call this macro the same way we would call a function. So we can just say double, if I spell this right, and then just pass through some number. I'll just go ahead and pass through 3, and when I run this, I should get out onto the screen 6. Yep, because basically what it did right here is it went through and it saw this 3, so it replaced this x with a 3 and then replaced all this code with 3 times 2. So it came down here and replaced this with 3 times 2. So now when we run this, we should get the exact same result. Yep, perfect. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial on using the include preprocessor directive and the define preprocessor directive. So, see you guys.